After trying so hard and chasing her relentlessly, I finally won the heart of the prettiest girl on campus, Lu Rian. We got married, but in our 3 years of marriage, we never once consummated it. She told me she had severe germophobia and was seeing a therapist, begging me to just give her some time. Then one day, I just gently kissed her on the lips, and her reaction was so extreme that she rushed into the bathroom to throw up. Even though she explained it was just a physical reflex and had nothing to do with me. It still broke my heart for a long time. In our 4th year of marriage, her company sent her overseas for work, and just like that, we ended up living apart for a whole year. Until our 5th anniversary, I decided to fly all the way out there to surprise her. But right after I got off the plane and rushed to her office building, I looked into the restaurant next door and saw she was peeling shrimp for another man. Through the restaurant window, I stood frozen on the spot, clutching a bouquet of roses, just staring at her. The man beside her was in a sharp suit, turning his head slightly to chat and laugh with Rian. I had never seen her look so incredibly gentle before. It was as if all her cold, sharp edges had just melted away. When he spoke, she gazed at him with a soft smile. At that moment, something inside me just snapped. It took a long while before Rian finally noticed me standing out there in the rain. The smile on her face slowly faded. She looked up and whispered something softly to the man, then grabbed an umbrella and walked straight toward me. "What are you doing here?" There was a hint of annoyance in her voice, like I was interrupting something. I tried my best to force a smile that didn't look too pathetic, and handed her the roses. "Happy 5th anniversary, Rian." Before she could even reach out to take the flowers, the man's voice called out from a distance. "Rian, the meeting's about to start." Hearing this, she gave me a blank look, said, "Just come inside with me for now," and turned to walk back. I stood there stunned for a long moment before I finally forced my feet to follow her. When we reached that stranger, he naturally stepped right up to Rian's side. The two of them walked side by side in front of me, occasionally leaning in to whisper to each other. From their conversation, I gathered that the man's name was Xiaochuan, and he was clearly very intimate with her. Several times, I tried to find a chance to speak to Rian alone, but Xiaochuan would always conveniently interrupt. When we finally reached the conference room, Xiaochuan finally locked eyes with me. Suddenly, he switched to Spanish and said, "So, this is that husband of yours back home? He really doesn't seem like your type." Rian replied in Spanish too. "It doesn't matter if he's my type. He's convenient, and that's enough." They both assumed I had no idea what they were saying, but what they didn't know was, 5 years ago, when I was trying to win her over, I found out she spoke Spanish. So I secretly worked my heart out to learn it. Xiaochuan walked into the room first. Rian finally turned to look at me, her tone as cold as if I were a complete stranger. "I have a meeting, just wait for me out here." Hearing those words, it felt like a huge lump was stuck in my throat. After she walked inside, I looked down at the roses in my arms. They were already starting to wilt, just like my relationship with Rian. 5 years of me desperately holding on to a one-sided love, and in the end, it was all for nothing. I wiped the rainwater from my face, turned around, and took the bouquet that I would never be able to give her, and tossed it straight into the trash. I was ready to book a flight back home right then and there. But on second thought, I figured I should wait for her to come out and end things face to face. Little did I know, I'd end up waiting for 2 whole hours. The conference finally wrapped up. I followed Lu Rian back to her place in the UK. It was a studio apartment assigned by the Research Institute. The room was bright and spotless. Every corner was tidied up perfectly. Lu Rian brought me a fresh pair of slippers. I was just about to take them, but my eyes landed next to the shoe cabinet. Sitting right there was a clearly worn pair of men's slippers. The pattern on them and the women's slippers on her feet were obviously a matching couple set. I've already bought new toiletries online. They should be delivered really soon. "You just sit down and rest for a bit," Lu Rian said with rare thoughtfulness. "You haven't had dinner yet, have you? Let me go make you a bowl of noodles." I just nodded. She was always this polite and distant whenever she spoke to me. That kind of courtesy felt like a cold pane of glass between us, feeling even less intimate than the way she treated her colleagues at the institute. The long flight had left me absolutely exhausted. I leaned back on the living room couch, just wanting to rest for a while. But I accidentally caught a glimpse of Lu Rian's phone screen on the coffee table. It lit up. Being so close, I instantly saw the sender's contact name was Xiao Chuan. In our 5 years of marriage, I had never once snooped through her phone. But in that exact moment, like I was completely possessed, I picked it up. If you had just made up your mind to come find me sooner back then, would the guy sitting next to you right now be me? Staring at those words, the very last shred of hope in my heart completely shattered. I was finally certain. Xiao Chuan was Lu Rian's ex-boyfriend. That message quickly vanished as the screen automatically locked itself. Right after that, what caught my eye was Lu Rian's phone wallpaper. It was a photo showing Xiao Chuan from the back, wearing his graduation gown. My own wife. For the past 5 years, her wallpaper had always been an old picture of her ex. In this agonizing moment, I finally realized with brutal clarity, in Lu Rian's world, just how utterly insignificant I really was. The sound of bowls and chopsticks gently clinking drifted from the kitchen. I turned off the screen and put the phone right back where it was, pretending absolutely nothing had happened. I walked into the kitchen. Lu Rian didn't notice anything off about me. She just handed me the chopsticks. Give it a taste. If it's not good, you don't have to force yourself to eat it. I took the chopsticks. And without even looking at her, I asked softly, could you tell me, what exactly is going on between you and Xiao Chuan? Lu Rian's response was unusually calm. Xiao Chuan is my ex-boyfriend. We were together for 8 years. We almost got married, but later, we broke up because we wanted different things in life. He insisted on building his career abroad, while I chose to stay home back then. She sounded so incredibly casual, but from her usually steady voice, I caught a barely noticeable tremble. I just buried my head and kept eating the noodles in my bowl. Then pushed with one more question. Is that really it? Lu Rian went completely silent for a moment, and didn't answer. Late that night, we lay in the exact same bed, each hiding our own heavy thoughts, sticking strictly to our own sides of the mattress. But right then, Lu Rian suddenly reached out her hand, and grabbed mine. In the past, back home, even when we shared a bed, every single time I tried to touch her, she would flinch away. This was the very first time she actually initiated holding my hand. I thought she was finally going to explain everything that happened today, but instead she just opened her mouth and said, Mo, I've decided to settle down here. My hands instantly turned ice cold. When she left for the UK a year ago, she told me it was just a short business trip. But then she kept extending it, week after week. I stayed behind in China, taking good care of her parents, always thinking she'd eventually come back to me. And now, with such a flat tone, she's telling me she's staying here forever. I knew deep down, there was absolutely no way she was staying because of me. And at that moment, I just didn't have the energy to beg her to stay anymore. I slowly opened my mouth and said, that's fine. It just rains a lot over here, so take good care of yourself. Rian clearly didn't expect me to let her go so easily. She squeezed my hand a little tighter. Thank you, Mo. I didn't say anything back. I just closed my eyes. Deep down, I had already made my final decision. I was leaving alone. Truth is, I never told her how much I absolutely hate the rain. As the night grew darker, Rian's phone kept vibrating. I knew it was messages from Xiao Chuan. I don't know how much time passed, but Rian quietly got out of bed, lowered her voice, and whispered to me. Xiao Chuan caught his ex-wife cheating on a rainy night, so now he's terrified of thunder. I need to go keep him company. I'll be right back. It sounded like she was trying to comfort me. I didn't answer her, pretending I was already fast asleep. But in my heart, I knew better than anyone. This time, I wasn't going to wait for her to come back. Once Rian was gone, I got up, grabbed my phone from the charger, and booked a flight for 4 a.m. It was the earliest flight back to China. Then, I got out of bed, and pulled 5 beautifully wrapped gift boxes from my backpack. Each box was marked with a specific date. I neatly lined up the boxes on the desk. Then, I sent Rian a voice message in Spanish. Dr. Lu, I know the man you truly love is Xiao Chuan. I saw the messages he sent you, too. I know you're staying in the UK because of him. You should have told me sooner. Then I wouldn't have wasted 5 years of your life. These 5 boxes are your birthday gifts. Please open one each day. When you get to the 5th day, you'll find my final surprise for you. With that, I hit send. 10 hours later, the plane landed at Beijing Capital Airport. I slowly opened my eyes. There wasn't a trace of jet lag or exhaustion in them. Just a dead, empty silence. Outside the window was the gray March sky of Beijing. It looked just like that endless, pouring rain in Edinburgh. A heavy weight pressed down on my chest, making every breath physically hurt. I held onto my phone. I had kept it turned off since boarding at London Heathrow. The pitch-black screen reflected the dark circles under my eyes, and the rough stubble on my chin. 13 years. 13 whole years. 8 years of chasing her like a fool, and 5 years of an empty, loveless marriage. My entire youth, all my passion and love, completely wasted on Lu Rian. And in the end, I was left with absolutely nothing but a broken heart. As the passenger next to me stood up to grab their bags, their arm accidentally bumped into me. They kept apologizing, but I just gave a weak shake of my head. My voice was so hoarse it sounded like sandpaper as I mumbled 2 words. "It's fine." I stood up and pulled open the overhead bin. My suitcase only had a few simple changes of clothes inside, and nothing else. When I first flew to the UK, my suitcase was completely stuffed. Packed with our 5th anniversary gifts for Rian. There were those custom German surgical tools she'd been wanting forever, her favorite traditional pastries from home, and even local specialties her parents had asked me to bring. But when I left, all of those things, along with the bouquet of red roses that got soaked in the rain and tossed in the trash, were left behind in that miserable, rainy city. Just like how I threw away the version of myself that loved Lu Rian for 13 long years. Stepping out of the jet bridge, the airport terminal was bustling with crowds of people. People waiting at arrivals stood on their tiptoes holding up signs, while reunited loved ones shared tight, happy hugs. The sound of laughing children and the warm greetings of families all blended together. It was loud, vibrant, and so full of life. But none of that warmth belonged to me. I felt like a ghost, drifting completely outside of their world. I dragged my feet, letting the crowd swallow me up step by step. Even my shadow looked unbearably lonely. Finding a quiet, empty corner, I finally gave in and turned my phone back on. Instantly, an absolute avalanche of missed calls and messages came flooding in. The buzzing made my palm go numb. Every single one of them was from Rian. In the dozen or so hours since I boarded my flight, she had left 37 missed calls and almost 100 text messages. My finger hovered over the screen for a second, but I didn't open the call log. With a blank face, I took that number I knew by heart, and blocked it. I didn't hesitate. I didn't feel a single thing. Right after that, in her pinned WeChat chat, her messages kept popping up, one after another. Starting with angry demands. "Where did you go? I saw the gift box. What the hell is this supposed to mean?" Then turning into sheer panic. "Mo, please text me back. Don't leave yet, let's just talk about this." And then, at the very end, a desperate, pathetic begging I had never seen from her before. "Mo, I was wrong. Please come back to me." Those words, "I was wrong," stung my eyes. I suddenly let out a low, quiet laugh. A laugh full of bitter irony and deep sadness. Wrong? What exactly did Rian do wrong? All she did was simply, never love me. But not loving someone is never the real crime here. The crime was how she happily soaked up my devotion for 13 straight years, while saving all her tenderness, all her true affection, for another man. I opened the settings, stared at her familiar profile picture, and hit the delete button. The moment the confirmation warning popped up, I tapped yes without a second thought. 13 years of foolish obsession, cut away and burned to ashes, by my own 2 hands. Stepping out of the terminal, the March air in Beijing still had that brutal, freezing chill of late spring. The icy wind sliced at my face like tiny knives. I raised my hand and hailed a cab. I gave the driver the address where Rian and I had lived for the past 5 years. I designed that apartment myself. Back then, just to give her the perfect home, I stayed up for countless sleepless nights tweaking those blueprints. Every single little detail was tailored exactly to her habits. She was a massive germaphobe, so the entire place was built with top-tier, sterile, eco-friendly materials. I even had the floor gaps sealed to keep the dust out. Her back was always killing her from standing in surgery all day, so the kitchen counters, the bathroom sinks, were all custom built to perfectly match her height. The living room windows directly faced her hospital, just because she once casually mentioned how much she loved looking at the evening sunset. But over these past 5 years, the total amount of time she actually spent in this house wouldn't even add up to a single year. She was always working overtime, always another surgery, always another endless medical conference to attend. And even when she did come home, there was always this thick, invisible glass wall between us. Cold, polite, distant. She wouldn't even spare me a hug or a simple touch. The cab finally pulled up to the apartment complex. I paid the fare and got out, looking up at that painfully familiar building. Up on the 17th floor, the window that used to stay lit for me, the place I truly thought was my forever home, was now completely pitch black. Suddenly, it all felt so foreign to me. I took the elevator up and scanned my fingerprint. The door clicked open. The apartment looked exactly as spotless as the day I left. Every single item was placed in absolute, meticulous order. Classic Rian, right down to her bones. In the shoe rack by the door, her sneakers and high heels were still lined up, perfectly neat and perfectly straight. And my slippers were shoved into the far corner all alone, like some useless, out-of-place decoration. I changed my shoes and walked into the living room. I tossed my backpack casually onto the couch and sank deep into the soft cushions. Closing my eyes, the exhaustion from the long flight, 13 years of grievances, regrets, and heartbreak all hit me at once, like a dam breaking. It completely washed over me. I thought I would cry, but my eyes were bone dry. I couldn't shed a single tear. I guess this is what it feels like to be completely dead inside. I don't know how long I sat there in the dark. The neon lights outside the window had long since lit up, and slowly dimmed again. Suddenly, the doorbell rang once. Then 2 more times, like a cautious probe. I froze for a second, but didn't move. I couldn't think of anyone who would come looking for me at this hour. The doorbell rang a few more times. Right after that, a gentle female voice came through the door. It was as light as a feather, yet landed so clearly on my heart. "Hey Mo, are you home?" The voice was familiar yet distant. I stayed silent for a few seconds before getting up and walking to the door. I pulled the door open. Standing outside was Su Qingyan. She was wearing a cream-colored cashmere coat, holding a thermal lunchbox in her hand. Her long black hair was a bit messed up by the wind, and her pale cheeks were slightly flushed from the cold. Seeing me open the door, her eyes lit up at first, but quickly dimmed again. She couldn't even hide the heartache in her eyes. "Qingyan, what brings you here?" My voice was still hoarse, carrying a faint trace of surprise. Su Qingyan has known me for 24 years. Ever since we were toddlers running around the same courtyard, she would always follow right behind me, sweetly calling me brother Mo. She had watched me go from a spirited young man to the lost, broken, and exhausted person I am today. It must have felt like needles piercing her heart, hurting so much she could barely breathe. "I tried calling you for days, but I couldn't get through. I asked your parents, and they just said you went to the UK." Su Qingyan's voice was very soft, as if she was afraid of startling me. "I guessed you'd be coming back around today, so I've been coming here every day to wait for you. I made some millet porridge. You have a sensitive stomach, and after a long flight, you definitely haven't eaten well." She lifted the thermal lunchbox in her hand. She forced a faint smile on her face, as gentle as a spring breeze. I looked at her. That frozen wasteland inside my heart suddenly cracked open, letting a faint, warm current seep through. For the past 5 years, I had poured my entire heart and soul into Lu Rian. To accommodate her tastes, I hid my true self, dialed back my ambitions, and cut off almost all contact with my old circles. But Su Qingyan was the only one who would still send me greetings during the holidays. She would occasionally send me my favorite foods, even though I always gave her rushed replies. And a lot of the time, I didn't even text her back. Yet, she was always still here. "Come on in." I stepped aside to let her into the house. Su Qingyan walked into the dining room like she knew the place by heart. She opened the thermos and scooped out a bowl of warm millet porridge. She also took out a few small dishes of light sides and pushed them in front of me. "Eat it while it's hot. It'll warm your stomach." I sat at the dining table, looking at that steaming bowl of porridge. Suddenly, I remembered that night at the apartment in the UK. Lu Rian had also made me a bowl of noodles. But when I ate those noodles, all I tasted was an overwhelming, icy bitterness. And yet, this ordinary bowl of millet porridge in front of me made my nose sting and my eyes tear up. I picked up my spoon and slowly ate the porridge, bite by bite. The warm porridge settled in my stomach, warming my freezing body, and slowly melting away the thick layer of ice around my heart. Su Qingyan sat right across from me, just watching me quietly. She didn't press me about what happened in the UK. She didn't pry into how things ended between me and Lu Rian. She just sat there with me in silence. She knows me far too well. I might look gentle, but I'm incredibly stubborn deep down. If I don't want to talk about something, no amount of asking will help. What I need right now isn't someone digging for answers to comfort me, but just a silent presence. Finishing the bowl, Won put down my spoon and looked up at her. "Thank you," I said softly. "Why are you being so formal with me?" She replied. Su Qingyan smiled and started clearing the dishes. "We grew up together. There's no side of you I haven't seen." She paused, but still couldn't hold back her words. Her voice was soft but full of pleading. "Mo. Stop torturing yourself over someone who isn't worth it." My fingers froze for a second. After a moment of silence, I slowly nodded. My voice was quiet, but firmer than it had ever been. "I know. 3 years is enough. I don't want to waste any more time on this. I really don't." Su Qingyan stared at me, with a look of disbelief in her eyes. She had been waiting for those exact words for 5 whole years. "Yeah," I murmured. A faint glimmer of life finally broke through the dead emptiness in my eyes. "I'm letting it go." Right at that moment, my phone suddenly rang. The screen flashed with a single word, "Dad." I stared at the name, hesitating for a second, then answered. "Hello, Dad." Shen Jingshan's deep, steady voice came through the line. It was hard to read his emotions, but there was a faint, hidden trace of heartache. Mo, you're back." "Yeah, I just landed. Come back to the old house. Your mother and I are both here." His tone left no room for argument. "There are some things we need to have a serious talk about." I stayed quiet for a few seconds before answering, "Okay." By the time I hung up, Su Qingyan had already cleared the table. She looked at me and said, "Your parents must be worried sick. Hurry back and see them. I'll just tidy up here and head out. Don't worry about it, you don't need to clean. Just leave it," I said, standing up and grabbing my coat. "Let me walk you downstairs." "No need, I'll be fine." Su Qingyan gently pushed me toward the door. "Go on, don't keep your parents waiting. Call me anytime if you need anything. You still remember my number, right?" She was worried that, because I only had eyes for Lu Rian all these years, I might have forgotten her number. She added that last part on purpose. Seeing the cautious, hopeful look in her eyes, my heart warmed a little, and I nodded. "I remember. Don't worry." After seeing Su Qingyan out, I stood in the entryway and took one last look at this place. A place filled with my 5-year marriage, and my 13-year obsession. There was no lingering attachment, no reluctance, only complete and utter relief. I turned around, closed the door, and pressed the elevator button. This time, I didn't look back. Just like I would never look back at that chapter of my past named Lu Rian. The Shen family estate was located in the exclusive villa district of the Western Hills in Beijing. It was a quiet sanctuary away from the chaos of the city, a true symbol of top-tier status among Beijing's elite. I drove through the main gates to find the butler already waiting by the entrance. He respectfully opened my car door. "Welcome back, young master. The master and madam are waiting for you in the living room." I nodded, stepped out of the car, and walked into the grand house. The warm yellow lights of the living room cast a soft glow. Shen Jingshan sat on the sofa, holding a financial newspaper, his expression steady and serious. Seeing me walk in, my mother, Lin Wan, immediately jumped to her feet. Her eyes immediately welled up with tears. "Mo, you're finally home." She hurried over to me and reached out to gently cradle my face. Her eyes were full of absolute heartbreak. "Just look at you. You've only been gone a few days. How did you get so terribly thin? Did they mistreat you?" Seeing the deep ache in my mother's eyes, my throat tightened. I reached out and hugged her tight. "Mom, I'm okay. I'm sorry for making you and Dad worry. You're my son. Looking like this, how could I not worry?" She patted my back gently, her voice choking back sobs. "Back then, you were so dead set on marrying that Lu Ruyan. You insisted on hiding your identity to chase after her. We couldn't stop you at all. How much you've suffered over these past 5 years. Did you honestly think your father and I didn't know?" I froze slightly. I had always thought I hid it so well. I fell head over heels for Lu Ruyan at first sight, right at the scene of a sudden car crash. I was just driving by that day and saw a huge crowd gathered around. When I pushed my way through, I saw Lu Ruyan in her white lab coat, kneeling on the ground. Ignoring the blood and shattered glass completely, she was calmly performing CPR on the victim. Her eyes were so fiercely determined. She practically glowed. In that exact moment, I fell for her, completely and utterly. Afterwards, I asked around everywhere about her. I found out she was the youngest surgeon at the city hospital. Brilliant at her job, but totally aloof. By pure chance, I overheard her chatting with a coworker. She said she absolutely despised useless rich kids. She thought all we did was throw our family's money around to show off. With zero real skills of our own, she swore she would never marry into a wealthy family. She just wanted to find a grounded, down-to-earth, ordinary guy to settle down with. Just because of those few words, I completely buried my identity as the sole heir to the Shen family. I told everyone I was just an ordinary architectural designer, making an utterly average salary, living in a regular apartment, and driving a basic 200,000 yuan commuter car. I morphed perfectly into the down-to-earth, ordinary guy Lu Ruyan had asked for. I spent 8 long years slowly melting her icy heart, even though she was always so incredibly cold and distant, even though she was a massive germaphobe. Who even recoiled at holding hands? I never gave up on her. Everyone tried to warn me. They told me Lu Ruyan didn't have even an ounce of love for me in her heart. But I wouldn't listen. I stubbornly believed, as long as I put my whole soul into it, as long as I held on, one day, I would finally melt that icy heart of hers. Over our 5 years of marriage, I absolutely spoiled her rotten. Because of her germophobia, I took care of every single chore in the house. Every single day she came home from work, the house was utterly spotless. The bathwater was always at the exact perfect temperature. Dinner was always cooked exactly the way she liked it. I even sterilized all her bowls and chopsticks in advance. When her parents got sick and were hospitalized, I was the one running around taking care of them, even emptying their bedpans. I was more dedicated to them than their own flesh and blood. Whenever she got bullied or given a hard time by her colleagues at the hospital, I was the one secretly pulling strings with the Shen family's connections. To quietly sweep all her troubles away, just so she could focus in peace on her medical career. Yet she genuinely believed she was just lucky. She thought it was her own sheer brilliance finally getting recognized. For her, I threw away the chance to study abroad. I walked away from taking over my family's entire empire. I completely gave up the life I was meant to live, and I did it so willingly. Just to be the invisible, devoted man standing behind her. I did that for 13 whole years. But in the end, I finally realized the bitter truth. You can never melt a heart that simply doesn't love you. The marriage I cherished like an absolute treasure. In her eyes, it was nothing more than a convenient empty shell. It's just a front to keep people in the dark. Sit down, let's talk. Shen Jingshan put down the newspaper in his hands and looked up at me. His face was as calm as ever, but all of its usual strictness was gone. I let go of my mother, walked over to the sofa, and sat down. I know all about what happened in the UK. Shen Jingshan began, his tone perfectly calm, yet carrying an aura of quiet authority. That man named Xiao Chuan. And all those things Lu Rian did. I am fully aware of them. I looked up at my father in stunned disbelief. Did you really think that by hiding your identity and running off to the UK, I wouldn't find out? Shen Jingshan let out a cold snort. You are my son, Shen Jingshan's son. How could I possibly ignore your every move, when you were standing in the pouring rain outside the Edinburgh Institute? My people were right there beside you. If you hadn't stopped them, I would have sent someone to teach that pair a lesson long ago. My throat tightened, unable to speak a single word. I had always thought that only I knew about the pain and sacrifices I had endured these past 5 years. Never did I expect that my parents saw it all, and their hearts ached for me. They just never brought it up, simply to protect my pride. Dad, I'm so sorry. My voice was a bit hoarse. I've let you both down. I wouldn't say we're disappointed. Shen Jingshan looked at me, his tone softening a little. You were just too young, blinded by love. What man goes through his whole life without taking a few wrong turns? The important thing is to turn back in time. He paused for a moment, then continued, back then, when you insisted on marrying her, insisting on living an ordinary life. Your mom and I didn't stop you. It was because we wanted you to hit that brick wall yourself. To see people's true colors. Now that you've hit that wall, and cracked your head open, it's time to wake up. I am awake. I looked up at my father. My eyes filled with absolute determination. Dad, she and I are completely done. Good. Shen Jingshan nodded, a flicker of approval in his eyes. Now that is a true son of Shen Jingshan. Since you are awake, it's time to talk about what comes next. He pushed a document right in front of me. These are the files for the Shen Group's medical and healthcare division. Our family has been expanding in the domestic medical field for over 20 years. From pharmaceutical research and medical device manufacturing, to private hospitals in the wellness industry, we cover the entire industry chain. You can see the scale for yourself. I flipped open the file, and my pupils shrank slightly. I only knew that the Shen family started in real estate and finance. But I had no idea our empire in the medical field had reached such a terrifying scale. Half of the top private hospitals in the country belong to the Shen Group. Even the city hospital where Lu Rian works, the Shen Group is one of its largest investors. Not to mention that Yenzhou Pharmaceuticals, owned by the Shen Group, is the leading medical research company in the country. With research centers all over the world, its power far exceeds Xiao Chuan's so-called Chuanyuan Pharmaceuticals. The things Lu Rian cares about the most are nothing more than her medical skills. Her academic status and her achievements in the surgical field. Shen Jingshan's voice turned freezing cold. And what Xiao Chuan cares about the most? It's nothing more than his family business and his reputation in the medical world. Didn't they think you weren't good enough for them? Well, then I'll show them that everything they take such pride in, to our Shen family, is nothing but a bug we can crush with a flick of a finger. My fingers trembled slightly. It wasn't that I hadn't thought about revenge, but after 3 years of marriage, even a dead romance leaves behind ruins. Deep down, I still wanted to leave some room for mercy. But my father's words were like a key, unlocking that tightly shut door in my heart. He was right. Why the hell should I swallow this humiliation? Why should I have to watch those two shamelessly trample all over my sacrifices, while they ride off into the sunset together? Dad, what do you have in mind? I looked up at him. It's very simple. Shen Jingshan leaned back on the couch, his eyes sharp as a hawk. First, we destroy Xiao Chuan's academic reputation. Then, we crush his family business. We'll drag him down from his golden pedestal, and turn him into a filthy street rat that everyone spits on. As for Lu Rian, doesn't she act so high and mighty? Doesn't she think her medical skills are God's gift to the world? I want her to know that the only reason she has her status today is because my son was backing her up. Without our Shen family, she is absolutely nothing. Lin Wan chimed in from the side. And let's not forget how she got into the city hospital, how she made deputy chief physician, and how she scored all those national research grants. That was all because you secretly asked us to pull strings for her, Mo. Now, it's time to take it all back. I fell silent. It was true, I had done all of that. Back when Lu Rian was up for the deputy chief physician promotion, her rival had backers who threw obstacles at her every step of the way. I was the one who secretly called my dad, and had him step in to smooth everything over. When her research grant applications were rejected time and time again, it was me who used the Shen family's resources to find her a top-tier collaborative team, and completely rewrite her application materials. That was the only way she secured the funding. I never breathed a word of this to Lu Rian. I was afraid that if she knew, she'd think I was just showing off. That she'd look down on me, and pull even further away. But looking back at it now, all my silent sacrifices were just taken for granted in her eyes. Hell, they weren't even worth mentioning. Dad, I want to handle this myself. I had been quiet for a long time before I slowly spoke up. Confusion and dead emptiness in my eyes had been replaced by a razor-sharp edge. I want to take over the Shen Group's medical division. A flash of pleasant surprise crossed Shen Jingshan's eyes, and he burst into booming laughter. Good, excellent, son, I've been waiting for you to say that for 5 whole years. The Shen family empire was always meant to be handed down to you. If you want to take over, Dad fully supports you. Mo, whatever you want to do. Mom supports you too, Lin Wan added with a warm smile. Her eyes were full of relief. She had finally lived to see her bold and ambitious son come back to life. There's one more thing. I picked up the document on the table, my fingertips tracing over the words, divorce agreement. Please have the lawyers handle the divorce proceedings with Lu Rian for me. I don't want anything to do with her ever again. Don't you worry about that. Shen Jingshan nodded. I've already hired the lawyers. The best divorce legal team in the country. If Lu Rian thinks she's getting a single cent of our assets, she's got another thing coming. Every single cent she spent over the past 5 years came straight out of our Shen family's pockets. We're already being more than generous by not making her cough it all back up. That night, I stayed behind at the old estate, lying there in my childhood bedroom. Looking out at the moonlight, I finally got a good, sound night of sleep for the first time. No more Lu Rian, no more toxic obsessions, no more agonizing over every little thing. Just an incredible, unprecedented sense of relief. I finally didn't have to spend my life chasing after Lu Rian. I could finally just go back to being Shen Mo, the heir to the Shen family, the brilliant, shining version of myself that I was always meant to be. Meanwhile, in Edinburgh, UK, Lu Rian sat alone in her empty apartment. She sat there for an entire night. It was almost dawn by the time she finally forced herself up from the couch. She walked over to the table, staring at those 5 perfectly arranged gift boxes. Her fingertips were ice cold and trembling slightly. Shen Mo was really gone. The realization hit her chest like a massive boulder, leaving her completely suffocated. For 13 years, no matter how cold, distant, or downright cruel she had been to him, he was always there. Whenever she worked late into the night, no matter the hour, there was always a light left on for her at home. There was always a hot meal waiting. Whenever she came back exhausted from back-to-back surgeries, crashing the second she got home, he would carefully and gently take off her shoes. He'd massage her stiff neck and shoulders, barely even daring to breathe. Terrified of waking her up, whenever she had terrible period cramps and broke out in cold sweats, he would already have brown sugar ginger tea brewed in a hot water bottle ready to go. He'd stay up by her side all night without sleeping. He took care of her every single need, spoiling her like an absolute princess. But she just took all of his devotion completely for granted. She had gotten so used to his presence, so used to him never, ever leaving her side. She was even blindly confident that no matter what she did to him, he would never walk away. He was like her ultimate safety net, always right there waiting. All she had to do was turn around, and he would be there. But now, that safety net was gone. He just left. No screaming fights, no hysterical breakdowns, not even a single word of blame. He just quietly and completely vanished from her world forever. Lu Rian's heart felt incredibly hollow. A terrible panic set in. She grabbed her phone to call Shen Mo again, but she was met with the same cold, automated voice telling her his phone was off. The red exclamation mark on WeChat stung her eyes. She frantically scrolled through her entire contact list, desperately looking for any mutual friend to ask about him. But then she realized, over these past 5 years, she had never once tried to be a part of his world. She didn't even have the number of a single one of his friends. She knew so pitifully little about him. All she knew was that he was an architect. Where did he go to college? Who were his friends? What was his family situation really like? She had never even bothered to ask. And he had never said a word either. She couldn't even remember his damn birthday. Lu Rian's trembling fingers brushed against the gift box labeled Day 1. She had already torn it open. The pair of cufflinks that had been inside. She was clutching them tightly right now. The freezing metal dug deep into her palms, causing a piercing pain. It brought her back to the day of their first wedding anniversary. When Shen Mo handed her this exact gift box, his eyes had been shining so brightly. But what had she done? She was busy texting Xiao Chuan. Xiao Chuan had just told her his research abroad had hit a bottleneck. Her heart had been entirely consumed with worry for him. She hadn't even spared the box a single glance before coldly pushing it away. And she had even called it flashy but useless. She couldn't even remember the look on Shen Mo's face back then. Looking back now, he must have been so disappointed. So heartbroken, almost as if possessed, she reached out and picked up the gift box labeled for Day 2. She slowly, carefully tore away the wrapping. Inside the box lay a hand-woven red string bracelet, strung with a tiny, Hachan jade safety charm. Lu Rian's eyes widened in shock, and her eyes instantly welled up with tears. She remembered now. It was their 2nd year of marriage. She had gone to a remote mountain village for a volunteer medical mission. And they got caught in a mudslide. Her car had rolled down the hillside. Even though she only suffered a few scratches, the news made it back home. Shen Mo drove there overnight like a madman. He waited at the foot of that mountain for 2 whole days and 2 whole nights. Until she came out safe and sound. After they got back, he took this very red string and tied it around her wrist. He said he had prayed for it at a temple, to keep her safe, but back then, because wearing it made doing surgery inconvenient, and because she thought it looked far too tacky, she took it off after barely 2 days and tossed it into a drawer. She never wore it again. She had even lost her temper at him over it, calling him superstitious, telling him he was getting in the way of her work. She thought he had thrown it away ages ago. She never expected him to actually keep it all this time, to carefully hold onto it for all these years, and even bring it all the way to England, just to place it in this gift box. Lu Rian held the red string in her hand. her fingertips trembling violently. The red string was perfectly preserved. There wasn't even a hint of wear and tear. It was obvious just how deeply he cherished it. Yet she hadn't even been willing to give it a second glance. Her heart felt like it was being ruthlessly crushed by an invisible hand. An overwhelming, suffocating pain swept through her entire body. Right at that moment, the doorbell rang. Lu Rian snapped back to reality. She wiped the dampness from the corners of her eyes and got up to answer the door. Xiao Chuan was standing outside, holding breakfast in his hands. He wore a gentle smile. "Rian, I brought you some breakfast. You didn't reply to my messages last night. I was a little worried about you." If this had been the past, seeing Xiao Chuan look so gentle would have warmed her heart. But right now, she only felt an inexplicable wave of annoyance. "Come in." She stepped aside to let him pass, her tone completely flat. Stripped of all her usual warmth, Xiao Chuan walked inside, and immediately spotted the two open gift boxes on the table, along with the red string in Lu Rian's hand. He frowned slightly. "What is this? Something Shen Mo left behind?" Lu Rian nodded, and placed the red string back into the box without another word. "Rian, don't overthink it." Xiao Chuan set the breakfast down, walked up beside her, and reached out to pull her into a hug. "Shen Mo is just throwing a tantrum. Give it a couple of days, and he'll get over it. He chased after you for so many years. There's no way he can just let it go like that." Lu Rian subconsciously dodged his touch. Xiao Chuan's hand froze in midair. A flash of shock crossed his eyes. He had known Lu Rian for so many years. And even though she was a germaphobe, she had never recoiled from him like this before. "Rian, what's wrong?" Xiao Chuan looked at her. His tone carried a hint of confusion. "It's nothing." Lu Rian shook her head, walking over to the couch and sitting down. "I'm just a little tired." She looked at Xiao Chuan, and suddenly remembered that rainy night. She had told Shen Mo that Xiao Chuan was afraid of thunder, and that she needed to go keep him company. She thought Shen Mo was asleep. But he wasn't. He just lay there, in bed, listening to her make up excuses to be with another man. How desperate and heartbroken he must have felt. And at the entrance of the research institute, when she bent down to take off Xiao Chuan's soaking wet shoes and socks herself, her voice practically dripping with tenderness. Shen Mo had just stood there in the pouring rain, holding the roses he brought for her. Completely drenched, looking like a total outsider. Watching her show another man a kind of tenderness he had never, ever seen. She had even spoken to Xiao Chuan in Spanish right in front of him, saying that he was just a suitable husband, and whether he was good enough for her didn't matter at all. Only now did she realize just how deeply she had destroyed Shen Mo. "Oh, right, Rian," Xiao Chuan said, sitting down next to her. "There's an international medical summit in Berlin next week. The organizers sent me an invitation. I already told them that I'd be bringing you along. We can give a presentation on stage together. It's going to be a massive boost for your future career in the global medical community." Lu Rian lifted her eyes to look at him, feeling absolutely nothing inside. In the past, this was exactly what she cared about the most. Academic status, international fame, and recognition within the industry. For those things, she was willing to completely ignore Shen Mo's feelings. She was willing to sacrifice her own marriage, and comfortably take all of Shen Mo's sacrifices for granted, just to chase her so-called dreams. But now, it all just felt so utterly pointless. "I'm not going." Lu Rian shook her head. "Why not?" Xiao Chuan froze. "This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. People would kill for a chance like this." "I'm not interested," Lu Rian replied, her tone flat. "I want to take a trip back to China." She had to go find Shen Mo. She had to apologize to him. She had to beg him to come back. She just couldn't lose him. Xiao Chuan's face instantly darkened. "Back to China? You're going back for Shen Mo?" "Rian, don't you forget. You already decided to stay in the UK with me. What the hell does going back to him mean now? We were married for 5 years. The least I can do is go back and make things clear with him." Lu Rian's voice carried a hint of impatience. "Make things clear? What else is there left to say?" Xiao Chuan raised his voice. He packed up and left without a single word. "It's obvious he's done with this marriage. If you go crawling back to him now, aren't you just degrading yourself?" "Lu Rian, since when did you become so pathetic?" "Pathetic?" Lu Rian stared at Xiao Chuan, suddenly finding him incredibly unfamiliar. In front of Shen Mo, she was always the one on a pedestal. She was always the one being worshipped and spoiled. She had never been pathetic in her life. It wasn't until Shen Mo left that she finally understood what pure panic felt like, what it meant to be humbled into the dust. "This is my own business. Stay out of it." Lu Rian's face turned cold. She stood up. "You should head back first. I need some time alone." Xiaochuan looked at her distant expression. A wave of anger burned in his chest, but in the end, he held it back. He stood up and straightened his suit. His tone softened slightly. "All right, I won't push you. Think things through on your own. Don't do anything you'll regret. I left your breakfast here. Remember to eat." After saying that, he turned around and walked out. The moment the door closed, Lu Rian couldn't hold it in anymore. She collapsed onto the sofa. The tears finally fell. She picked up the gift box on the table, labeled for the third day. With trembling hands, she tore it open. Inside the box was a photo album. Lu Rian flipped the album open, and her hands instantly froze. The album was filled entirely with her photos. There was her focused side profile while performing surgery. There was her coming home from work, falling asleep on the sofa from pure exhaustion. There was her radiant, triumphant smile standing on the award podium. And even the time she had a grain of rice stuck to the corner of her mouth while eating. There was her curled up in bed, brows tightly furrowed during her period. And her staring blankly out the window, totally lost in thought. From the first year they met to their 5th year of marriage. For a full 13 years, every single moment of her life had been secretly recorded by Shen Mo, carefully pasted right into this album. Below every single photo was a line of small text, noting the exact date it was taken and how he felt at that moment. September 15, 2013. Her eyes are as bright as the stars. I think my heart just skipped a beat. March 2, 2015. She smiled at me for the very first time. Even though it was just out of politeness, I was happy all night long. October 7, 2018. She said yes to my proposal. I actually get to marry the girl of my dreams. I swear I'll be good to her for the rest of my life. I'll treat her right forever. 2019, our first wedding anniversary. It's fine, I'll take my time picking out a gift. There's got to be something she likes. 2020, she ran into a mudslide while volunteering at the clinic. I was scared half to death. As long as she's safe, nothing else matters. 2021, I got a gift ready for her birthday. She worked overtime and never came home. The cake went bad. It's fine, we'll celebrate it next year. 2022, our 5th wedding anniversary. She went on a business trip to the UK. I miss her so much. I'm going to fly out to see her and give her a huge surprise. The very last line stopped at 2023. A rainy night in Edinburgh. She doesn't love me. 13 years, and I still couldn't warm her cold heart. I'm so tired. It's time to let go. Lu Rian turned the pages of the album one by one, her tears falling like shattered pearls, splashing heavily onto the photos. Smudging the ink, she never had a clue that, in the places she couldn't see, Shen Mo had loved her with such a profound, quiet devotion for 13 whole years. The empty marriage she thought they had, the lack of feelings she always assumed, it was all just her own arrogant delusion. He had hidden all his love in the little details, burying it deep within these 13 years of time. Yet she never even bothered to look down and notice. She finally understood. What she threw away wasn't just some man who had chased her for 13 years, but the one whose entire heart and soul were completely filled with her. He was the only person in the whole world who treated her like his very life, the only one who loved her unconditionally. The news of Shen Mo taking over the Shen family's medical and healthcare division sent massive shockwaves throughout the entire Beijing elite circle and the domestic medical industry. Everyone knew that the sole heir to the Shen group had vanished for 5 years, quietly living the life of an ordinary person. Now, with his sudden return to take over one of the Shen family's most crucial divisions, it was blindingly obvious he was about to make a monumental move. Shen Mo didn't hesitate for a second. On his very first day, he called a high-level executive meeting for the entire group. Sitting at the head of the table in a bespoke suit, he listened calmly to each department's report. His eyes were sharp, his mind clear, and he knew the company's operations inside out. His questions hit the nail on the head, completely unlike someone who hadn't touched the family business in 5 years. At first, the executives in the room had their doubts, thinking this young master was just playing around. But by the end of the meeting, everyone was utterly convinced. They finally understood that Chairman Shen's son was never some useless rich kid. He had simply been blinded by love before. Now, his true brilliance was on full display. After the meeting, Shen Mo called the chief risk officer and the director of legal into his office. I want Xiao Chuan and his backer, Chuan Yuan Pharmaceutical Group. Every single file you have, the more detailed, the better. Shen Mo sat behind his desk, tapping his fingers lightly on the surface. His tone was calm but carried an undeniable authority. Especially the dark stuff, academic fraud, business violations, financial issues. I want it all. Is 3 days enough? The chief risk officer nodded immediately. We started gathering intel a long time ago. Chairman Shen gave us a heads up before. The files are pretty much complete now. I'll have them brought to you right away. Shen Mo nodded, his eyes completely emotionless. He wasn't some forgiving saint. The humiliation and pain Xiao Chuan and Lu Rian had put him through. There was no way he was just going to let it slide. He was going to show them that there's always a bigger fish. And what happens when you mess with the wrong person? Soon, a thick stack of documents was placed on Shen Mo's desk. Shen Mo flipped through the pages one by one, cold, mocking smile creeping onto his lips. Xiao Chuan, the young heir of Chuan Yuan Pharmaceutical Group, relying on his family's resources, he managed to worm his way into the Edinburgh Medical Research Institute. Getting a researcher title and packaging himself to the public as a medical genius, an outstanding young talent. But in reality, multiple papers he published in top-tier international journals had completely fabricated data. There were even massive sections plagiarized straight from other people's research. On the business side, Chuan Yuan Pharmaceutical was riddled with holes. Several of their core drugs had fake clinical trial data. They only got their market approval by bribing officials in the drug administration. The company evaded taxes, cooked their books, inflated their revenue, and manipulated the stock market to fleece everyday investors. Worse still, a few of their drugs caused severe adverse reactions and faced patient complaints. But they brutally buried the truth with a generic response back in September 2023. Piece by piece, it was all hard evidence that could completely ruin his reputation, or even put him behind bars for life. Shen Mo let out a cold laugh, tossing the files onto the desk. And Lu Rian actually treats this kind of trash like a prize. He shot a cool glance at the legal director. First, send the hard proof of his academic fraud to the Lancet, the New England Journal of Medicine, and the editorial boards of these top journals. Also, send it to the Academic Ethics Committee at the Edinburgh Medical Research Institute. At the same time, leak all this evidence anonymously on international medical forums and major academic platforms. I want him to go from a so-called medical genius to a universally despised academic fraud overnight. Understood, Mr. Shen, I'll get on it right away. The legal director nodded immediately. Step 2. Take the evidence of Chuan Yuan Pharmaceuticals tax evasion and clinical trial fraud and submit it to both the UK and domestic tax authorities, as well as the Drug Administration. At the same time, get our European partners on board, short Chuan Yuan Pharma's stock, and completely cut off their supply chain. Terminate all partnerships with them. Shen Mo's tone remained perfectly calm, yet every single word struck like lightning. I want Chuan Yuan Pharma, within 1 month, completely bankrupt and liquidated. Yes, Mr. Shen. Step 3. Dig into exactly how Chuan Yuan Pharma managed to get their European market access back then. Find out which officials they bribed and what shady back channels they used. Hand all the evidence over to the authorities. Shen Mo's eyes turned ice cold. I'm going to make sure Xiao Chuan, and the entire Xiao family backing him, never see the light of day again. After issuing his orders, the legal director and chief risk officer immediately left to execute the plan. In the office, Shen Mo was left completely alone. He walked over to the floor-to-ceiling windows, staring down at the bustling city traffic below. His gaze was dark and unreadable. Suddenly, his phone rang. It was Su Qingyan. Mo, are you done with work? Su Qingyan's gentle voice drifted through the receiver. I'm downstairs at your office. I brought you some lunch. If you're too busy, I can just bring it up to you. The corners of Shen Mo's mouth curled into an unconscious, tender smile. The ice in his eyes melted away instantly. I'm not busy. I'll come down and get you. He hung up the phone and took the elevator down. In the main lobby of the company, Su Qingyan was standing there, dressed in a sharp, elegant white suit. She was holding a lunchbox, her long hair pinned up, radiating a smart, gentle charm. Seeing Shen Mo step out, she immediately broke into a smile and waved at him. Shen Mo quickly walked over to her and took the lunchbox from her hands. "What brings you here all of a sudden?" "Well, I heard your mom say that since it's your first day on the job, you'd definitely be so busy you'd forget to eat." Su Qingyan said with a bright smile. "I happen to be running errands nearby, so I dropped by with some home-cooked food. It's all the stuff you loved eating when we were kids." The two of them stepped into the elevator together. Once they reached the CEO's office, Su Qingyan opened the lunch containers one by one. 4 dishes and a warm soup. Every single one a favorite of his. The delicious aroma filled the room. "Hurry up and taste it. Let's see if my cooking skills have gotten rusty." Shen Mo picked up his chopsticks and took a bite. The warm, familiar flavors instantly burst in his mouth, filling his heart with warmth. "It's amazing. Just as good as when we were little." Su Qingyan looked at him, her eyes completely brimming with affection. "Then eat as much as you can. Look at you, you've already lost weight these past few days. If you don't build your strength back up, your mom is going to be heartbroken." She paused for a moment. Looking at him, she asked softly, "Is everything at the company going smoothly? If there's ever anything you need help with, just say the word." "My dad already said it. The Su family will always stand right by your side." The Su family was also an old money aristocratic powerhouse in the capital, and longtime family friends with the Shens. Their influence was massive, and Su Qingyan herself was a top-tier investor who had just returned from Wall Street. Her capabilities were absolutely stellar. Shen Mo looked at her, his heart swelling with deep gratitude. "Thank you, Qingyan. Honestly, everything is going smoothly so far. But if I ever need anything, I promise I won't hold back and ask you." "Why would you ever hold back with me?" Su Qingyan let out a soft laugh and scooped him a warm bowl of soup. "Come on, eat up. The food is getting cold." Watching Shen Mo eat his meal, bite by bite, Su Qingyan felt both relieved and heartbroken. She finally saw that the high-spirited young man had returned, but she also knew that the wounds in his heart hadn't completely healed. All she could do was stay by his side, gently soothing his scars, bit by bit. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, in Edinburgh, UK, a massive storm was tearing Xiao Chuan apart. The first thing to blow up was his academic fraud scandal. Shen Mo's people released all the hard evidence of Xiao Chuan's fake papers, forged data, and blatant plagiarism, dumping it all online at once. Top-tier editorial boards immediately stepped in to investigate, quickly issuing retraction notices and pulling down every single paper Xiao Chuan had ever published, and blacklisting him for life. Right after that, the Academic Ethics Committee at the Edinburgh Medical Research Institute released a statement announcing the suspension of all of Xiao Chuan's research work. They set up a special task force to launch a full-scale investigation into his academic misconduct. Overnight, the entire international medical community exploded. Xiao Chuan, the once highly praised medical genius, instantly became a despised academic fraud. Major medical institutions and academic organizations rushed to cut ties with him. Every single collaborative project he had was terminated. Xiao Chuan was completely panicking. He frantically called up professors he knew and institution directors, but nobody answered his calls. Some even blocked him outright. The academic reputation he had painstakingly built for so many years was destroyed overnight, before he could even process the academic fraud scandal. The second wave of attacks hit. British tax authorities and drug regulators showed up at his door simultaneously, launching a surprise inspection on the UK branch of Chuanyuan Pharma. They seized all the company's financial records, along with drug samples and clinical trial data. Scandals of fraud, tax evasion, and commercial bribery were exposed one after another. Chuanyuan Pharma's stock price plummeted by 70% that very day, instantly triggering a circuit breaker. Countless investors frantically sold off their shares, and partners rushed to issue cancellation notices. Banks also started pulling their funds, demanding early repayment of loans. Chuanyuan Pharma's cash flow was completely shattered overnight, and their domestic headquarters didn't survive either. The police, drug administration, tax bureau, and securities commission all stepped in to investigate at the same time. Chuanyuan Pharma's domestic factories were shut down, and their drugs were taken off the shelves. Their accounts were frozen. Xiao Chuan's father's hair turned white overnight. And he was so stressed out that he ended up in the hospital. In just one short week, the once glorious Chuanyuan Pharma was pushed to the brink of bankruptcy and liquidation. The Xiao family went from a prestigious elite household to heavily indebted, beaten dogs. Xiao Chuan completely broke down. He locked himself in his apartment and smashed everything in the room, like a crazed beast. He couldn't figure out who on earth he had offended, or why he was suddenly hit with such devastating blows. That was, until his lawyer called him and told him in a despairing tone, "Mr. Xiao, we found out. The one coming after us is the Shen group back home. The short selling, the reports, the exposures. It was all done by the Shen family. We can't fight them at all. The Shen group's power is hundreds, thousands of times greater than ours. We don't have a single chance to turn this around." The Shen group? Xiao Chuan froze, his eyes filled with absolute shock. Which Shen group? When did I ever offend them? The Shen family from Beijing. They made their fortune in real estate and finance. The top financial syndicate in the country. Their heir is named Shen Mo. The lawyer's voice carried a hint of trembling. "Mr. Xiao, did you offend this young Master Shen?" Shen Mo. Xiao Chuan's pupils suddenly shrank, and the blood in his veins instantly ran freezing cold. That guy holding roses in the pouring rain in Edinburgh, completely soaked to the bone. That pathetic and completely ordinary-looking man, the one he had blatantly mocked in Spanish to his face for not being good enough for Lu Rian. He is actually the heir to the Shen group? Xiao Chuan's legs gave out, and he collapsed heavily onto the floor. His face was as pale as ashes. He finally realized exactly what kind of monster he had provoked. Everything he took so much pride in was nothing more than an ant that the Shen family could effortlessly crush. Right at that moment, the door was pushed open. Lu Rian stood in the doorway, staring at the total mess on the floor. And the completely devastated Xiao Chuan. Her face was deathly pale. She already knew everything. The exposure of Xiao Chuan's academic fraud, the bankruptcy of Chuanyuan Pharmaceuticals, the absolute ruin of the Xiao family, and the mastermind behind it all. She finally knew who the man she had been married to for 5 years really was. She had always thought he was just an ordinary architectural designer. A painfully average man who didn't even deserve her, was actually the sole heir to the top financial empire in the country. She remembered how she and Xiao Chuan had mocked him in Spanish, saying he wasn't good enough for her. She remembered her own coldness and disgust toward him, how she had shamelessly enjoyed all his sacrifices. While giving all her tender love to Xiao Chuan, her face just burned with a stinging pain, as if she had been viciously slapped countless times. Rian, when Xiao Chuan saw her, it was like he had grasped a lifeline. He scrambled and crawled right up to her. Desperately grabbing her hand, he begged, "Rian, you have to help me. Go beg Shen Mo, tell him to let me go. Tell him to spare the Xiao family. You're his wife. He will definitely listen to you. Please, I'm begging you." Lu Rian looked at his pathetic, groveling state, and felt an overwhelming sense of irony. So this was the perfect man she had been longing for all these years. This was the man she had ruthlessly hurt Shen Mo, just to run away with, and at the slightest sign of trouble, he turned into such an absolute coward. She violently yanked her hand back. Staring at him with freezing cold eyes, she said, "Xiao Chuan, do you still not get it? Why do you think he targeted you? You completely destroyed his 13 years of devotion. You ruined his 5-year marriage. Do you really think he's going to listen to me? Then what do we do? What are we supposed to do?" Xiao Chuan completely broke down, crouching on the ground and clutching his head. Weeping bitterly, he sobbed, "I'm ruined. Our whole Xiao family is finished." Lu Rian watched him, and the very last thread of affection in her heart completely snapped. She turned and walked right out of the apartment, without ever looking back. She had to return to China. She had to go find Shen Mo. She needed to apologize to him. She needed to repent. She wanted to tell him that she knew she was wrong. She would beg him to give her just one more chance. Moving as fast as she could, Lu Rian, after sorting out everything in the UK, she bought a ticket for the earliest flight back home. Before leaving, she opened the 2 remaining gift boxes. Inside the box marked for day 4, was a men's ring. It was the wedding ring that Shen Mo had prepared for himself when they got married. For 5 years of marriage, he had never taken it off. Even though she rarely mentioned her married status to the outside world, he had always worn it, treating it like a precious treasure. But now, he had left the ring right here. Lu Rian held that ring. Engraved on the inside were her initials, along with a short, tender message. Forever and always, my only love is Rian. Tears fell once again, dropping heavily onto the ring, and the gift box marked for day 5 was the very last one, which was also the final surprise Shen Mo had mentioned. With trembling hands, Lu Rian opened the box. Inside, there were no gifts. Just 2 documents. One was a divorce agreement, already signed with Shen Mo's name. The handwriting was bold and firm. All assets acquired after marriage would go to Lu Rian. Shen Mo voluntarily gave up all rights to property division. Even at the very end, he was still thinking of her. The other document was a company profile of the Shen Group, along with an introduction to Shen Mo's true identity. The sole heir to the Shen family, the CEO of the Shen Group, the chairman of Yenzhou Pharmaceuticals, the man at the helm of the country's top financial empire. Every single word on those pages felt like a heavy hammer, smashing fiercely against Lu Rian's heart, taking all her pride and self-righteousness from these past years, and shattering them to pieces. She finally realized. She thought she had married an ordinary man, but she never imagined that this man possessed a level of wealth and status she could never reach in a lifetime. She thought her achievements were all earned through her own hard work, but she never imagined that her ability to get into the city hospital, to become a deputy chief physician, to secure so many research projects, and to have such smooth sailing in the medical field, was all because Shen Mo had been quietly paving the way for her behind the scenes. She had looked down on him for being ordinary, despised him for not being good enough for her, never knowing that everything she was so proud of was absolutely nothing in his eyes. She thought she was high and mighty, that he was the one reaching out of his league for her. But she never realized that from the very beginning, the one reaching out of their league was her. Holding the divorce agreement, Lu Rian collapsed onto the floor, crying her heart out in absolute agony. 13 years of chasing, 5 years of marriage, she had personally pushed away the man whose heart and eyes were completely filled with her. She finally understood what it meant to be consumed by agonizing regret. When the plane landed at the capital airport, it was early morning in Beijing. Lu Rian dragged her suitcase out of the terminal. Looking at the familiar city, she felt an overwhelming sense of emptiness and alienation. She first went back to the house where she and Shen Mo had lived for 5 years. Unlocking the door with her key, she found the house completely empty. Everything that belonged to Shen Mo was gone. His clothes, his shoes, his books, his design blueprints, everything was completely gone. It was as if he had never lived there at all. The only things left were the spotless rooms, and the custom furniture tailored to her habits, constantly reminding her that this man had devoted 5 years of his life to her right here. She walked into the bedroom, and pulled open the nightstand drawer. Inside lay her wedding ring. She had tossed it in there right after they got married and never wore it once. But now, Shen Mo's ring was sitting right next to it. The 2 wedding rings lay there quietly, like some sick, twisted joke. Lu Rian picked up her ring and slipped it onto her ring finger. It was a perfect fit, but her heart felt incredibly empty. She pulled out her phone to call Shen Mo. She used a brand new number. It finally went through. The phone rang for a long time before it was picked up. The man's familiar voice came through the speaker, cold and distant. There was even a hint of impatience. Who is this? Hearing his voice, Lu Rian's tears instantly fell. Her voice choked with emotion. Mo, it's me. There was silence on the other end for a few seconds. Then, Shen Mo spoke again, his voice still freezing cold, completely devoid of emotion. What do you want, Mo? I'm back in the country. Lu Rian said, crying. I'm in our house. Please come back, okay? Let's just meet. I have things I want to tell you. We have nothing to talk about. Shen Mo's tone was completely flat and lifeless. You should have received the divorce papers by now. If there are no issues, just sign them and have your lawyer contact me. I won't sign. Lu Rian screamed hysterically. Mo, I won't divorce you. I really know I was wrong now. Please forgive me, okay? Let's start over, please. Let's just start over. Start over? Shen Mo let out a low laugh, full of absolute mockery. Dr. Lu, do you really think that's possible? I know I made a lot of mistakes. I shouldn't have been so cold to you. I shouldn't have gotten entangled with Xiao Chuan. I shouldn't have broken your heart. Lu Rian was sobbing uncontrollably. Mo, just give me one more chance. I swear I'll treat you well. I promise I'll live a good life with you. Please, I'm begging you. Save it. Shen Mo cut her off, his tone freezing cold. For 13 years, I gave you countless chances. You threw them all away. It's too late now. It's not too late, Mo. It's not too late at all. Lu Rian said in a panic. I've completely cut ties with Xiao Chuan. The one I truly love is you. It's always been you. I was just too blind before. I didn't realize my own heart. Lu Rian, Shen Mo called her by her full name. His voice laced with heavy impatience. Drop the act. You don't love me. You love my status as the heir to the Shen family. You love the resources and status I can give you. If I were still just that ordinary architect, would you even bother looking back at me? Lu Rian's words were instantly caught in her throat. She couldn't utter a single word. The divorce papers have already been sent over by my lawyer. Sign them, and let's just go our separate ways. Shen Mo's tone was completely unforgiving. Don't ever call me again. I want absolutely nothing to do with you. With that, he just hung up the phone. She tried calling back, but all she got was a dial tone. Lu Rian clutched her phone and collapsed to the floor. Sobbing uncontrollably, she finally realized Shen Mo was truly done with her. But she couldn't accept it. She just couldn't lose him like this. She managed to track down the address of the Shen group. Bright and early the next morning, she waited outside their office building. She was wearing a white dress, with carefully done makeup, hoping to recreate the look. That first made Shen Mo fall in love with her. She waited from morning until noon, watching people come and go, until she finally spotted that familiar Bentley. Pulling up to the entrance, the car door opened, and Shen Mo stepped out. He was wearing a custom black suit, standing tall, radiating an overwhelming sense of power. His eyes were sharp and intimidating, a complete stranger to the gentle, patient man he used to be. And standing right by his side was Su Qingyan. Su Qingyan was wearing a long champagne gown, her arm linked gracefully with Shen Mo's. She had a soft smile on her face. As they walked side by side, they looked absolutely perfect together, a flawless match. Lu Rian felt like her heart had been violently pierced. The pain was so sharp she couldn't breathe. She quickly rushed forward, blocking Shen Mo's path. Mo. Shen Mo stopped in his tracks, his brows instantly knitting together the moment he saw her. His eyes were filled with nothing but cold impatience. Su Qingyan stopped as well, still holding onto Shen Mo's arm without letting go. She simply looked at Lu Rian calmly, her eyes completely free of hostility. There was only a faint sense of detachment. Mo, could you just give me 5 minutes? Just 5 minutes. I really need to talk to you. Lu Rian looked up at Shen Mo, her eyes brimming with tears. Her posture incredibly submissive and begging. I have absolutely nothing to say to you. Shen Mo's tone was ice cold. As for the divorce, you can talk to my lawyer. I won't divorce you. Lu Rian stared at him, tears spilling down her cheeks. Mo, 13 years together. 5 years of marriage. Can you really just throw it all away like this? I know you still care about me deep down, don't you? Care about you? Shen Mo let out a cold laugh. Lu Rian, are you really that full of yourself? Back in the rain in Edinburgh, when I watched you taking off another man's shoes and socks, whatever feelings I had left for you died right there. When you made up excuses to go see him in the middle of the night, any lingering attachment I had completely vanished. He stared her down, every single word a fatal blow. The only reason you're crawling back to me now isn't because you love me. It's because Xiao Chuan went bankrupt, and you lost your meal ticket. So you suddenly remembered your backup plan. Too bad I don't collect garbage anymore. Lu Rian's face instantly turned deathly pale, drained of all color. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, Shen Mo's voice remained freezing cold. That city hospital you're working at? The Shen Group is its biggest investor. Your medical license, along with your research projects. We've already submitted the relevant documents to request a full reassessment. What exactly do you think you relied on to get to where you are today? You know perfectly well, from this day forward, you are completely finished in this country's medical field. Lu Rian trembled violently, staggering backward a step, nearly falling over. She finally realized just how ruthless Shen Mo's revenge truly was. Not only had he destroyed Xiaochuan, but he was also going to destroy everything she cared about the most. Mo, you can't do this to me. Lu Rian screamed, breaking down entirely. That is my entire life's work. You've ruined my lifelong dream. Ruined your life's work? Seems pretty fair, doesn't it? Shen Mo's eyes held absolutely no pity. After saying that, He didn't give her a second glance. Wrapping his arm around Su Qingyan's waist, he walked straight into the company building. From beginning to end, he never looked back at her once. Lu Rian stood frozen in place, staring at his back, finally unable to hold on any longer. She collapsed to the ground, sobbing uncontrollably. The people around them were pointing and whispering at her. Like a pathetic clown, she had lost everything in broad daylight. The Shen Group's annual medical summit was held at the Beijing International Convention Center. This summit brought together the world's top medical experts and scholars, along with all the leading companies in the domestic healthcare industry. The scale was unprecedentedly high. On the main stage of the summit, I was wearing a custom haute couture suit, standing at the podium, confidently delivering my speech. In the 1 year since I took over the Shen Group's medical division, we've made sweeping reforms, leading Yenzhou Pharmaceuticals to develop multiple globally pioneered innovative drugs, filling numerous technological gaps in domestic healthcare. We established a world-leading medical R&D center and formed deep partnerships with top universities. Like Harvard and Cambridge, our affiliated private hospitals have also become the absolute benchmark for high-end healthcare in the country. In just 1 short year, I had tripled the market value of the Shen Group's medical division, becoming the undisputed leader of the domestic medical industry. Thunderous applause erupted from the audience. Everyone's eyes were completely focused on me, filled with immense admiration and approval. After the speech ended, I walked off the stage. Su Qingyan immediately came up to greet me, handing me a glass of warm water. Her eyes filled with a gentle, loving smile. "You spoke wonderfully." I took the glass, smiling as I affectionately rubbed her hair, the coldness and sharpness in my eyes completely melting into tenderness. "Are you tired? You've been running around with me all morning." "Not at all." Su Qingyan smiled and shook her head, reaching out to adjust my tie. "Tonight's celebration banquet is all set. Your mom and dad will be coming over too." I nodded and reached out to hold her hand. Our fingers tightly intertwined. Over this past year, Su Qingyan had constantly been by my side. Whenever I was busy with work, she would quietly keep me company, helping me handle my business affairs, and taking perfect care of everything in my life. Whenever I occasionally thought of the past and felt down, she would sit with me in quiet silence, comforting me without ever asking too many questions. Her gentleness, her understanding of me slowly healed the wounds in my heart and made me believe in love again. 3 months ago, I proposed to Su Qingyan in the courtyard where we grew up together. There was no grand ceremony, just a ring that I designed myself, and a simple question: "Qingyan, will you spend the rest of your life with me?" Su Qingyan nodded in tears and said, "I will." Our wedding was set for next month, but right at that moment, a commotion broke out at the entrance of the venue. I looked up and frowned slightly. Standing at the door was Lu Rian. I hadn't seen her in a year, and she looked incredibly haggard. She had completely lost the look of that aloof and proud surgeon she used to be. Her hair was dry and yellow, and her eyes were completely bloodshot. She was wearing faded, washed-out clothes that looked completely out of place at this high-end summit. Over the past year, her life had completely hit rock bottom. The city hospital fired her, and her medical license was revoked. Not a single hospital in the country dared to hire her. She had become an absolute pariah in the medical world.